KC Singh, how are you seeing all these battle lines? Now you've got the Prime Minister who will also go to the United States in a few weeks from now. This battle for overseas hearts and minds, is that what it's about? Is that about brand building? Mr. Modi will go there as a more muscular leader, projecting his brand of politics. Rahul Gandhi projecting a more softer brand, saying, Nafrat chodo, mohabbat ki dukaan shuru karo.
Rajdeep, we always had a consensus in India, political consensus, that you will not take your political differences abroad. This was broken by the Prime Minister for the first time in 2004 at Madison Square Garden, and it's been an ongoing game since then. And now Congress has joined that game. But the question is, what do we need the diaspora for? Most of them are citizens of those countries. They are committed by oath to be loyal to those countries. So what are we seeking from them? We are seeking basically cultural affiliation, bridges to India in terms of, and a lobbying effort wherever that is permissible. We've seen it happening in the past too. It is not that lobbies have worked now. The Indian lobby was very successful to get us the nuclear deal when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister. So it started, and the Overseas Indians Divas, that started in 2003 with Mr. Vajpayee. But then, do you take your political differences abroad? What do you do? What do you use the diaspora for? Unfortunately, the diaspora has begun to be used as a captive audience where you are sending messages out and taking your disputes there. And that is why in the last 2 years, the number of temples attacked or disfigured in Canada has gone up tremendously. It had never happened in the past. Because you see, abroad, the composition of population is different. Sikhs are about a third of the population in Canada, of the Indian diaspora. It's about 10% in US and about a quarter to a third in England as well as in Australia. But if you're going to be gathering people of who belong to or are tilting towards a particular party, a particular kind of majoritarian thinking, then you're creating divisions in the diaspora. And that is, I think, the most dangerous thing. And that is what is causing the problem. So it's not a question of my Khalistani is worse than your Khalistani. I think anybody raising any slogan, etc., is not right. But then you are also exporting your political differences abroad.
You're making a very, very important point. The diaspora is, in a sense, being hostage almost to your political differences at home, and that's being exported. Geeta Mohan, is there a concern among the Ministry of External Affairs at all about this? The Prime Minister will be in the United States, but this diaspora being used for almost settling political scores at home.
Well, the diaspora, like KC Singh said, has been a part of India's soft power diplomacy. It has now become a part of the election toolkit as well, Rajdeep, and that's why increasingly we are seeing not just Prime Minister, not just the current dispensation, but also opposition leaders going and engaging the diaspora. I see nothing wrong in that. Ministry of External Affairs is monitoring what is happening in the United States of America and Rahul Gandhi's visit, particularly the political wing rather than the bureaucrats or the diplomats. But they're also preparing for a larger gathering of the Indian diaspora in Washington, D.C. when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be there. So it is, like KC Singh said, Rajdeep, not just this dispensation. The earlier governments have also done it, engaged the diaspora. It has become increasingly a political tool, and we're seeing that. But again, it's not just Rahul Gandhi raising issues about the current dispensation. Prime Minister Modi, or for that matter, the BJP also has been using the same platform to raise issues about or keep talking about Nehru and the Nehruvian foreign policy. So we've had it from both ends.
Yeah, but the question is the scale.
Party, but the fact is that it's an important toolkit.
You know, you're saying it's become an election toolkit, but, you know, Supriya Srinath, there's a sense that, look, Mr. Modi has been extremely successful in a way in promoting a kind of long-distance nationalism. You know, getting NRIs across the world to sort of celebrate the idea of India. He's done it in Australia. He will probably do it in the United States next month. He's done it across the world. Rahul Gandhi seems to be going there almost to suggest that, look, please see what's happening in India. Muslims, Dalits feel unsafe. R.P. Singh mentioned the case of a Sikh being told, look, you are being reduced to second-class citizens. Now, many will say that's being divisive. How do you respond? Do you believe Mr. Modi is projecting brand India? Rahul Gandhi, in a way, is sort of trying to puncture brand Modi? Is that the goal when he goes abroad?
Your analysis couldn't be farther from the truth. And let me first bust the first analysis that you pointed out. Some brand nationalism across the 7 seas, and you named Australia in particular. 24 hours after Mr. Modi came back from that Australia meeting where people from India were flown down, chartered planes were hired and all of that. I don't want to get into all of this. But Australia put a ban on 6 Indian states to send their students to Australia. What sort of brand nationalism is it when it doesn't work for your people? I want to understand that. He was called apparently the boss. Why did boss not ensure that Indian students get their due? Students from UP, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana and 2 other states have been barred by Australia. What sort of nationalism the purpose serves? And just to answer your question, Mr. Modi's brand of foreign policy, if it is not about promoting himself, it's about winning contracts for Mr. Adani. Because you are isolated in your neighborhood, that's the reality. Whether it's Bangladesh, that is far more distance from you than it ever was, or whether it's Sri Lanka, we all know what's happening with China and inconsequent Pakistan. I mean, a neighbor like Bhutan, which has been an all-weather ally, is today telling us, please leave. So what sort of a foreign policy is this? What sort of nationalism, quote unquote, are we promoting?
But are you, are you also accused of sort of going abroad to somehow or the other use those visits to try and puncture the Modi balloon? Is that the main aim of Rahul Gandhi?
Absolutely not. I mean, we are not so driven by hatred that we will stand with the Khalistanis like the BJP does. So no, Mr. Gandhi is there to have conversations. His topic of discussion, whether it was in Cambridge or now when he said what he said, is so relevant. He says learning to listen for political leaders is very important. That is the culture of our land. We have to listen to people because one person alone does not have the answers to everything. You cannot sit with God and explain to him how the universe works. And that's exactly what is happening in India. And these are people whose hearts beat for India. Why not have a conversation with them? If Mr. Modi can have a conversation, then so should we.